Welcome into episode 23 of the Palmetto Dugout Show. I'm Drew Stewart here with Sammy Esposito and our special guest, Coach Holbrook from the College of Charleston. What's going on, guys?
How y'all doing? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining on. So I'm gonna hop this over to Sammy now. Go ahead, Sammy.
Coach, we're doing all right. Appreciate you coming on today. Everything going all right down there in Charleston?
Everything's going good, but I'm uncomfortable with you asking me questions. You know where my skeletons are buried. I don't know if this is a good idea on my behalf.
We'll keep it clean here at the Palmetto Dugout Show. That might be another podcast episode. Bring out some of them skeletons.
Just do it when I retire.
But we'll keep this clean for our great listeners out there. Now, hey, I do want to throw it out there. Obviously, myself, a lot of us here in the baseball end know kind of your background, know everything going. Kind of break it down a little bit for someone out there that doesn't know much about Coach Chad Holbrook and the College of Charleston down there, the Cougars. Kind of give us a little rundown of your background and how you got yourself down there in college.
Well, it's been a long journey in my coaching profession. I guess I started back in the fall of 1994. I was assistant coach at the University of North Carolina. Stayed there for about 15 years and moved on to South Carolina, where I had the opportunity to work with you. And I was there from in Columbia, 2008 to 2016, I guess, 17. Shoot, my years are running together on me. But yeah, we had some great times at both of those schools and had an opportunity to, go coach a team or be with the team, be in the same dugout with the team, however you want to phrase it, or with a couple of teams that went to the College World Series and played for the national championship. So I've got to experience some really, really cool things and been around some really, really cool people, cool players. And after my time at South Carolina was over, I was lucky to have the opportunity to come to the College of Charleston, which is a beautiful place to live, a beautiful place to work. We're getting ready to make a pretty darn big commitment to our facility here, and I think some things are going to change in regards to how people outside of this area view our baseball program. With the facility we're getting ready to start. I'm sitting here looking at a construction site right now, and our field's unplayable right now, but hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll have a pristine turf field down, and we'll get back on the field and prepare for the 23 baseball season. But it's really, really a cool place to work. We've got a great school, a great baseball program, a great athletic director, and it's a lot of fun to work down here.
Yeah, now let's talk a little bit about those improvements. Obviously, we've seen some stuff on social media. You've put a bunch of stuff out there. The university and schools put some things out there. You're doing about to obviously get in the field right now, but you're about to have that great turf field. What are some other things that you guys are doing down there? Because obviously some of the renderings and some of the drawings look incredible.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of really great facilities in our state, college baseball wise. Clemson's got a great facility, South Carolina, obviously, Coastal Carolina, and we wanted to try to put a great product out there as well. So we're starting the process right now. We're it's gonna go in a little bit of from a phase standpoint. Before this season, we're gonna have a brand new turf field, brand new lights, and a brand new video board and a brand new outfield wall. So it's going to look almost brand new to the casual observer that hasn't been here when they come to a game this spring. Now, after that, we're going to start on a baseball performance center down the right field line that's going to, have all those neat things that will afford players to hopefully become the best player they can be, from a training facility to a locker room space to a team meeting space to coaches' offices. We'll run the program out of that building here, and once we start that, hopefully in the next year or two. So, it's about a $8 million project, and one of the cool things about it is we're having to raise the money ourselves. And when we came down here, people thought that it couldn't be done. That there wasn't enough interest in college baseball in our city to get it done. And we've raised close to $5 million in 8 months. So we certainly, I think, have gotten off to a great start, and we've shown the community that it can be done and that it will be done. And I think it's going to be a great product for baseball players in our state, high school baseball players. I think our recruiting landscape will change. I think our reach will extend. once our facility's built. And so we're excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of great things going on there, obviously facility wise. And last year you guys regular season champions, so obviously coming off a great regular season run, and then being able to build on that with these improvements going on, they're going to be good. Now, you talked about your long history of coaching. Kind of break down how you think the game of college baseball has changed over those years, if it has to you, or just some differences that maybe is going on in today's day and age versus when you first started getting into it back in the day in North Carolina.
Well, I think, there's a number of things that change in regards to, the recruiting aspect, the recruiting calendar. Obviously, the roster limitations have affected some things that those weren't in place when I first started coaching back in the mid-90s. And so we're having to adapt in that regard. And some of the changes are very good for college baseball, and some of the changes you could probably argue aren't. So it's but we all are playing by the same rules, and we're dealing with limited roster spots and limited amount of scholarships and a limited amount of coaches right now. And hopefully that's getting ready to change. I'm hearing some pretty good rumors out there that things are going to change in that regard, and our fingers are crossed, and very hopeful that we will have an additional coach or two, and maybe have some freedom in regards to scholarships and roster spots. So that's hopefully might be determined here in the next several months. So we're anxiously awaiting word of that. But at the end of the day, it's the same game. The bats probably aren't as hot as they once were in the mid-90s. But the facilities are much better. I think a lot of the programs are putting much more money behind their baseball programs that they did in the mid-90s. I think there's a lot of good players out there because of the resources that are being afforded to high schools and colleges. So yeah, college baseball wasn't necessarily the most popular sport in the world in the mid-90s, even though outside of the Mount Rushmore of programs. But now, because of the rules, there's a lot more parity in college baseball. The good players are spread out across the country instead of just going to 5 or 6 powerhouse schools. There's a lot of good baseball players out there, and there's a lot of good opportunities for young people to go out and play, either at the Power 5 level, the mid-major level, the Division II level, the junior college level. There's good players all over the place, and I think that's the difference that we're seeing that was not really apparent in the mid-90s.
Yeah, you're obviously seeing a little bit more with this transfer portal stuff, where you're seeing these players so-called moving up, or whatever you want to call it. Guys maybe from the Division II level going to the Division I level and putting up big numbers, or guys from so-called smaller programs at Division I jumping up and being able to produce right away. And it shows, like you just said, the growth of those players and how good baseball players are across the board.
Well, the portal, I was scared to bring that up because I didn't want to voice my opinion of it, but that's probably the biggest difference that we're all staring at right now, and we're all trying to get used to the portal and the NIL deals and all that sort of thing that are dripping down, I guess, to the baseball world. The NIL deals were obviously first and foremost at the major revenue producing schools and the major revenue producing sports, but now we're starting to see it in our sport as well, and that's certainly a new dynamic that we're not used to, especially at the mid-major level. But we're going to have to get in that fight as well. And so you're sitting here thinking about where is resources going to become available for the lower level school, and because it's very, very difficult when one of your best players at a mid-major school and gets approached at a Power 5 or a bigger school, and money's involved, and because right now we might not be able to compete with the NIL world that maybe the LSUs or the SEC schools or the ACC schools have. So it's a challenging time, but yet at the same time, it is producing some incredible opportunities for young people, and I think that's a good thing as well. Not only opportunities financially for really good young baseball players, but obviously opportunities educationally as well. So at the end of the day, it creates some hurdles, but in the long term, I think the opportunities for the individuals has certainly increased.
Yeah, there's obviously, probably good and bad that comes with everything out there, and gets a little bit different. Now, kind of staying on that recruiting front before we hop off to another subject, but you've obviously, for our few select listeners out there that don't know, Coach Holbrook is known as one of the greatest recruiters of all time across the board of his life. So, but he's also, you've also had the ability to have two sons go through the process, that are off in college baseball, which a lot of coaches don't get to have that side of it. Like, talk a little bit about the recruiting world, how that's changed a little bit over the years, and probably a little bit from the coach's side, but also from the parent side with having gone through it with two of your sons as well.
Well, I was obviously lucky. I had some experience in regards to recruiting, so I was able to share some information with my two kids, but and let them make their choices for themselves, and it worked out for us. But it was different, I had to put on a parent hat versus a coaching hat, and they're two different hats. And I didn't really, I wasn't really prepared for that, I guess, when it all started for Reese and Cooper, because all I know is, as a coach, it's my job to recruit players for the program that I'm coaching at or representing, and I'm trying to convince young people why this would be a great fit. Then it became a little bit personal, because obviously it was important as a parent that you put your kids in a good place, and they're going to get a good education and play for great coaches and be afforded, opportunities of growth, both educationally and athletically. So I had to put on a little bit of different hat, and it was different, because I don't think it was a smart move as our family. I love my kids to death, and they worked very, very hard to become decent baseball players. But I don't know if it would have worked good if I was their coach. And so we had to look at some opportunities for them outside of where their dad coached. And it's been really neat to see them spread their wings and do their own thing and grow as individuals. And that's the good thing about our sport, and especially in the Southeast, is there's a lot of great opportunities for people out there. And whether you're a great player, a good player, or just a baseball fan and or baseball nut, so to speak. And you don't necessarily have to be a great baseball player to be part of a great baseball program, either as a manager or someone that really has studied the game, because analytics are so important now. And that's another change that probably has developed over the years that we didn't have in the 90s and early 2000s. And so there's a lot more jobs. There's a lot more opportunities for young people to be involved in baseball. I know I'm getting off the subject a little bit, but other than that, at the end of the day, I'm lucky. I'm fortunate to be a dad of kids that love baseball, and they've found a great spot, both academically and athletically. And we couldn't be happier and more comfortable with the coaches they play for and the schools they attend. And at the end of the day, I think that's the goal of all our parents, is to make sure your kid's in a good, safe spot. They're going to be treated the right way. They're going to have great opportunities for growth, both athletically and academically. And there's a lot of good schools in the Southeast across the country that provide you those opportunities. And we're awfully fortunate that Reese and Cooper found their home, and they couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's one of those, you see a lot in recruiting, people get caught up in maybe the wrong reasons why to go to school. And I never forget, you used to say this all the time when we were talking with a recruit. You tell the parents, you tell the kid, can you see yourself graduating from the school if baseball got taken away from you? Because we all have the aspirations, the hopes and dreams of playing forever. Well, the reality, it doesn't happen. And, you see, you guys see it a lot more, but you see where players pick a school maybe because of the football team or the other reasons that are out there, and they don't maybe pick that right school, or they don't have somebody helping them along the way to point them in the right direction.
Well, and ultimately I learned that at an early age because my dad was a coach, and my dad was a basketball coach. And when I was going through the recruiting process as a young adult in high school, I came down to two schools, and I could not make a decision. I wanted to go to both schools, and obviously you can't go to both. And so finally, when it came time to make a decision, my dad sat me down and said, okay, if you have an arm injury or you have an injury and you can't, and you can no longer participate in baseball, what school do you want to go to? What school would you want to be if you were just a normal student? That resonated with me, and it took the pressure off for me. And so it made my decision easier. That being said, there's a lot of different factors now that kids consider that may not have been considered in the late 80s and early 90s. And like you just mentioned, kids might want to go to a school where football's played. And obviously we don't have that at the College of Charleston. Kids might want to go to a school where they can become the best baseball player they can be and get a really, really good education. Well, we have that here. And there's other different schools have different resources. At the College of Charleston, we have some things that a lot of schools don't have just because of our geographic location. And now that we're trying to put this facility in place, maybe we're leveling the playing field, so to speak. And I hate to use the word mid-major. We are a mid-major, but that being said, there's certainly a lot of growth potential here. And I don't think sports fans and collegiate fans look at Gonzaga, so to speak, as a mid-major in college basketball. So there are programs that have made huge strides in competing nationally, and we're hopeful that we can do that down here.
Yeah, obviously, if you had to go back and do it all over again, you would have probably chosen my Wolfpack to go to school instead of the Tar Heels. So I mean,
they didn't think I was. They didn't think I was good enough. So so I had to go somewhere else, and that happens from time to time. Sometimes you get disappointed. Some of the schools that you'd like to attend may not think you're good enough, and unfortunately, I went to be a Tar Heel, and I was a Tar Heel my whole life, actually. But that being said, I landed in a good place. But your alma mater didn't think I was a good player.
Must have been some bad coaches up there. One last topic on high school baseball before we're going to get to some important stuff. But let's talk about, you talked about it a little bit earlier, the state of high school baseball in the state of South Carolina. Kind of touch on it while you've been in the state now a long time. Kind of, where you've seen it grow, the ability, the players, the high school coaches, some of the good things that are happening here in the state, high school wise, that you've seen over the years.
Well, I mean, when I first got down here from North Carolina, the thought process was, well, North Carolina is a really big state. The population is a much bigger. So there's more players. I mean, that's general rule of thumb. And, but when you actually, get entrenched into the state, and you start seeing and observing the amount of talent here, it's an awesome place. I mean, and baseball is very, very important in this state. Probably, my folks in North Carolina probably aren't going to be happy with this comment, but college baseball is highly visible in the state of South Carolina. Maybe more so than it is in North Carolina. And what I mean by that is this. I mean, like you said, when me and you were at South Carolina, we sold 6,000 to 6,500 season tickets a year. I don't know if that's done in the state of North Carolina. In fact, I know it's not. And I think a year or two there, when we were at South Carolina, we sold more season tickets than the Miami Marlins did in Major League Baseball. So there was a lot of things about baseball in this state that'll, raise your eyebrows. And so then you start diving in and recruiting players in the state. Then you start seeing, wow, there's great coaches here. They're great players here. There might not be as many just because there aren't as many schools at some of the bigger states. But when you see the elite players play, you find out really quickly that they can hold their own against anybody. And I think you would agree that we wouldn't be a part of two national championship teams and have two national championship rings sitting on our mantle if it wasn't for some great high school players in the state of South Carolina. And I don't see it slipping at all. In fact, I see it increasing. We got to do a great job of making sure we keep our players in South Carolina at home. And I think the two big schools in the ACC and SEC in Clemson, South Carolina, recruit the state very hard. And we obviously try like crazy to recruit a state very hard, and Coastal Carolina does as well. And And so I guess, to make a long story short, they're damn good players here in the state. They're really, really good high school programs and really, really good high school coaches. And a lot of players that have gone through high school in the state of South Carolina can hang their hat on the fact that they won a national championship. And the players that we coached at South Carolina, the Scott Wingos, the Michael Ross, the Matt Prices, it goes on and on, obviously. And then obviously Coastal Carolina won a national championship with some really, really good players from the state of South Carolina as well. So no doubt high school baseball in the state of South Carolina is strong. And I think they've shown over the past they can compete nationally and win national championships. So it should be a focal point of recruiting when you're a baseball program and a college baseball program in the state of South Carolina.
No doubt. You used to talk about it all the time too. Just you get those kids, they fight a little bit harder for their home state. It seems like, you obviously you can go from out. We also had great out of area players that were here and did well, but sometimes those local guys want to put their home state, their home school on the map a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, and I think that we used to say at South Carolina, those kids that grew up as Gamecocks or those kids that grew up as Tigers, the name on the front of the jersey is more important to that kid than the name on the back. And sometimes when you have ownership like that and a strong desire to help that program that you followed as a kid, help them succeed, then those kids tend to be team first guys. And and obviously we had some great players that were out of state in South Carolina. We have great players down here at the College of Charleston that are out of state. That doesn't mean that out of state players aren't team guys per se, but those local kids have a vested interest in seeing their program excel. And I think that's the reason why we won two national championships at South Carolina, is those kids cared about the program. And we were lucky enough to recruit players that are out of state that cared just as much. So we were awfully fortunate coaches, but yeah, I mean, there's certainly some truth to that. Those local kids care, and they have their families and grandparents and their families here watching them play, and they want to play well because it's an easy place to get to. And I think that's a factor as well.
No doubt. It's been, obviously kind of being out of the state for 4 years and being able to come back and watch some high school games here recently. It's been, you forget how much energy there is in a high school baseball game. You've been doing it for a long time. Plus, you got to do it as a dad, watching your kids do it. But it's a little bit different when you get to go watch those high school games and get to see the energy and the excitement of the community going about it. It goes a long way for those kids.
No doubt. And I think, and it trickles down, or it trickles up and trickles down. I mean, I think, when you see the energy and enthusiasm in a college baseball stadium, I think that trickles down to high school baseball fields and vice versa. There's a lot of baseball facilities and baseball programs that create football type atmospheres at their events or at their baseball games. And I think that's what makes South Carolina unique. And you see some football atmospheres at baseball games, both high school and in college. And that's a really, really cool thing, and fun environments for the kids in our programs to play in. And maybe that's something that maybe some other states don't have. Who knows?
Yeah, no doubt. It makes it enjoyable for the players, for the fans, for everybody involved. Now, obviously, we're all baseball people, and that's what we're here doing and doing all that stuff. But enough of that. Let's get to some important stuff. Your off the field work, your foundations, some of the charities you work with, some of the things. You obviously you recruit the youth, but let's talk about more of the important stuff that you do off the field wise to help the real, the really young kids that are maybe going through some tough situations. Obviously, you guys lived it as a family yourself, but kind of touch on some things that you've done, that you're currently doing and kind of done over the years, and some things you're working towards.
Well, I mean, when you see, from those that don't know me, my son was diagnosed with cancer when he was 2 years old. And we were lucky to be in a city in Chapel Hill and with a great medical team and a great pediatric children's hospital there, and an incredible doctor and incredible team. And we had great care. Reese had great care. But along the way, when you're in that world that nobody wants to be in, you see things that need to be addressed, and you want to try to lend out a helping hand to other kids that are facing similar battles. So, I mean, honestly, that's a lot more important to me than being a baseball coach, and I get great enjoyment out of it. It's there's nothing worse than I don't think there's anything worse or more unfair than telling, you know, a 2-year-old or 3-year-old or 4-year-old kid that they have cancer, and or they're facing a battle with another illness that's, you know, that's could be terminal as well. And so it's something that I enjoy doing. It's you know, it's not something I do every single day, but there's a lot of foundations and there's a lot of people out there that care and are doing good work. And I've recently become I've become a person that in a family that wants to help a camp in South Carolina called Camp Cole, and Camp Cole is named after a kid named Cole that died of cancer, and it's a camp there in the Midlands that provides young people opportunities at summer camps and fall camps and year-round camps to experience the camp thing that maybe you know, that they haven't been able to experience in the past because they weren't healthy enough, or their medication prevented them from, or you know, or their situation or their condition prevented them from enjoying some of those things that healthy kids get to enjoy. So you know, that's kind of been my focus off the field lately, is helping the folks at Camp Cole. They're great people. They provide incredible opportunities for young people in the state of South Carolina, and those that both have cancer, or both, maybe they're homeless, or maybe there's a, you know, a domestic abuse situation, or maybe it's a Down syndrome young person, or a number of different reasons. There's a lot of people out there that need the public's help and the public's assistance. And, you know, because our family got to observe some really, really tough things as our kid, you know, battled cancer, we just felt like it was our, you know, it was our duty to reach out and help as best we can, and create some opportunities. So Jen and I are awfully lucky and fortunate to be able to help Camp Cole, and I think they're getting ready to build an incredible new activity center at their facility that's going to be awesome. And we're fortunate to be able to play a very, very small role in assisting that. And it all came from the things that we got to experience and observe as Reese went through his battle with cancer.
Yeah, it obviously puts a lot of perspective of baseball wise out there, that as much as we all fans think the game is that important, there's a lot more important things. And my kids have lucky enough to get out to Camp Cole to help out and do some things out there. But obviously what's going on there is tremendous. And plus you put on unfortunately I couldn't make it this year, but you put on a hell of a party to raise some money for that stuff this past year. We had some friends in the area that were out at your event and told me within like 5 minutes you raised like $50,000 in one of the auctions with a couple of your big things out there. So I know we had some friends here in the area that were out there and had a tremendous time at your event, moving forward, trying to raise some money for great things. But you know, we know there's a lot of great things going on down there at your program. You're doing a lot of great things in the community for the youth. So, you know, here at PBR South Carolina, we applaud all you're doing for the state, you know, not only high school baseball wise, but off the field. So we appreciate that. And I know everybody else is doing the same.
Well, there's a lot more important things out there. Like you said, there's a lot more important things out there than who wins and loses a baseball game. And, you know, we all go through tough times in life. You know, I mean, from someone getting diagnosed with an illness to, you know, losing a job, or a family or a group of folks facing tough circumstances. So I just think, you know, if we all pitch in and try to help out as best we can, it makes a difference. And it certainly makes a difference that's much more important than winning a baseball game. And as I've gotten older, heck, I'm 51 now, getting ready, I'm 52.
Yeah.
God, 52. I'll be 52 here real soon. I lose control of days. But older. I'm no young whippersnapper anymore.
More knowledge.
The older you get, you know, when I was young and I started coaching when I was 24, 25 years old, that's all I thought about was baseball. That's all I thought about was winning the next game, getting the next recruit. It's all it consumed you. as you grow and you get older, you realize, yeah, those things are important because that's your job. However, it's not the most important thing. And as you get older, as you get more experience, as you've seen different things, and you start appreciating, you start, as a human being, you start saying or categorizing, hey, what's important here? What's going to make the biggest difference? And at the end of the day, who's going to really remember the Tuesday night game that you played and lost 7-6? But somebody might remember you helping a kid out and changing their life for the rest of their life. And you don't do things like this for anything, notoriety. You don't do it because you want to be patted on the back. You do it because you want to have a young person experience some really, really cool things in their life. And outside of that, I think that's if all of us, if we all could find something to motivate us to help someone else out, maybe our world would be a better place. I'm not saying we're the shining example. We're not. But we all have some free time on our hands, and we all need to be occupied when we have free time. And when you do have free time, if you can pierce your energy back to make a difference for somebody else that's less fortunate, I think it makes the world a better place.
No doubt about it. Well, I told you we wouldn't bring out your skeletons in this thing, so we'd keep it clean and keep it respectful going today. But Coach, we definitely appreciate you hopping on with us today and talking a little baseball and talking about a few other things off the field. So thank you very much, and we look forward to watching the Cougs this upcoming season. And best of luck to you guys.
Well, thanks for having me, one, and thanks for the great things that PBR does in regards to the opportunities for young people. My own kids benefited from it. I don't know if my kids would have the opportunities baseball-wise, collegiately, if it wasn't for being part of the community, of the opportunities y'all present to people in our state. So, and that goes a long way. And we tell our parents all the time that ask for advice, that there are reputable people out there, and make sure you do your research. And obviously y'all are at the top of that ladder. And when it comes to reputations and the opportunities you provide for young people that are trying to earn a baseball opportunity, either on the field or in a dugout. And kudos to you guys for the opportunities and the program y'all provide to the people nationally, to young people nationally, and obviously to the people in the state of South Carolina. Y'all do great work, and I'm honored to be on the show and honored that my two kids benefited from the product that y'all present and provide people in the state of South Carolina.
Perfect. Appreciate you.
Thank you.